Okay, so since the new Galaxy S8 was released a couple months ago, I thought it would be nice to take a look back at a very popular Samsung flagship smartphone released 4 years ago, which is this thing, the Samsung Galaxy S4. Let's go ahead and take a look at it, shall we? Taking a look at the design of the S4, you can see that it's very similar to the previous Galaxy S3 on first glance. This phone features a plastic build with a silver trim around the edges and a flimsy removable back cover, which catches fingerprints rather easily on the black colour variant that I have here. One nice thing about the design is that Samsung managed to increase the screen size to 5 inches, whilst keeping the overall size of the phone very similar to the Galaxy S3. But since the phone has a plastic build, as mentioned earlier, it doesn't feel as premium as other smartphones like the iPhone, and even current Samsung smartphones out on the market today. The specs on the Galaxy S4 were quite decent for a flagship smartphone in 2013, with a quad-core 1.9 GHz Qualcomm Snapdragon 600 SoC, 2 GB of RAM, and storage options ranging from 16 to 32 gigs. As mentioned earlier in this review, the phone has a removable back cover, allowing you to expand the internal storage with a microSD card slot, and swap the included 2600 mAh battery, which is something we don't see in a lot of smartphones on the market nowadays. The display on this phone is actually pretty good by today's standards. It rocks a 5-inch 1080p AMOLED panel with a pixel density of 441 pixels per inch. It may not be the best display compared to phones with Quad HD or even 4K displays, but from a normal viewing distance, the Galaxy S4's display is sharp and crisp with no visible pixels. Moving on to software, the Galaxy S4 originally shipped with Android 4.2 Jelly Bean, running with a TouchWiz Nature UX skin on it. The S4 that I have here is running Android 5.0.1 Lollipop, which was released as an official update for this phone back in 2015. Samsung spent a lot of time focusing on adding lots of software features that take advantage of the hardware and sensors available on the S4. One of those features is AirView. This gives you a preview of different items like message threads and photo albums by hovering your finger over the display. Likewise, Air Gesture allows you to scroll through web pages, switch between different photos, skip different tracks, and more by waving your hand over the display. Both of these are a bit gimmicky and don't always work perfectly in most situations. The most useful software feature that Samsung included on the S4 is Quick Glance, which gives you an overview of things like the time, date, and notifications, all without actually unlocking the device itself. This is a very similar feature to what we've seen in a lot of other smartphones in the past couple of years, like the Moto display feature on Motorola phones, and even the always on display feature found in the Samsung Galaxy S7 and S8. The 13 megapixel camera on the Galaxy S4 may not be the best compared to phones like the iPhone 7 or Google Pixel, but to be honest, it's still not a bad camera. For some reason, Samsung set the default photo resolution in the camera software to 9.6 megapixels instead of 13 megapixels, probably to preserve the 16:9 aspect ratio of the S4's display. Speaking of which, the camera software offers quite a few features, like Dual Shot. This allows you to take photos and videos using both the front and rear facing cameras simultaneously, so that you and the subject are both in the photo. There's also Drama Shot, which takes multiple burst photos and then stitches them into one photo, which can provide somewhat interesting results. But anyway, the image quality from the S4's camera is pretty good, with nice colour reproduction and sharpness. Low light performance from this camera isn't particularly great, but it does get the job done in most situations. The 1080p 30 frames per second videos recorded on the S4 aren't bad either. There's no optical image stabilization in the camera, meaning the videos can look a lot more shaky than they would on other smartphone cameras.
There's the view. Nice view.
is an option in the camera settings for digital image stabilization, but to be honest, it's terrible, and I wouldn't really recommend using it when recording videos on here. Media consumption on the S4 is actually pretty decent for this 4-year-old smartphone. Thanks to the 5-inch 1080p display, watching videos is a pleasant experience, providing nice, sharp details and rich colours. Gaming is also decent on the S4. Popular titles like Super Mario Run do have some noticeable lag here and there, but other than that, it's still playable. The built-in speaker that's found on the back of the phone is not the best in the world, but it's not the worst either. Unlike the iPhone 7, there is, in fact, a 3.5mm headphone jack found at the top, meaning you don't have to use any adapters or dongles, which is definitely pretty good. Wrapping this review up on the whole, I think the Galaxy S4 is still a great, usable device 4 years on from its release. The fact you can find a smartphone nowadays for a fairly affordable price makes it a decent budget phone. Although there are other budget phones that do have things like better build quality and more up-to-date software, like the Moto G5, the Novo P2 and Huawei Honor 6X. But if you're looking for a phone with a decent display, great camera and a removable battery on a budget, the Galaxy S4 is definitely a good option for this department. Fun fact, the majority of this video was actually filmed on my iPhone SE in 4K, as I've never really done a video in 4K before, and my phone, which is the iPhone SE, happens to be the only camera that actually records in 4K. So yeah. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to see more videos from me in the future, I guess. And of course you can follow me on my social networks like Twitter and Instagram for more updates from me in the future. So once again, hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry for the 4-month hiatus on this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye! One nice thing about the design is that Samsung managed to One nice thing about with a quad-core 1.9 GHz Qualcomm Snapdragon, that's a tongue twister and a half. Oh, never mind. Okay.